Hi friends, this is Arun. So in this video, I'll try to answer a couple of questions. Okay, there are hundreds of languages. Which language should I start? Where should I start my programming? Okay, so which is the popular language which I should get started so that I get a job? Okay, these are some of the common questions that arise in every newbie or learner or student, whatever you call them. Okay, so even I had the same question when I graduated from. I mean, when I went to college or I started with my programming career. Okay, so before that, let's go and check into the existing languages. We'll try to understand what the similarities are a little bit here and there, and I'll give the tips from my end what I've done. Okay, if you see, this is the I mean this pic I picked it from the internet. So this is how the programming has been evolved. And if you see, it is like kind of any king's life. So if you go to any kingdom in the history book, all would have done similar thing: build the roads, planted trees, married five wives, waged war, lost, backstab someone. There are like finite number of items where a kings do it. So they drunk, okay, get drunk or they get boozed, all the stuff they do it. So but all kings have the same pattern. They drive for glory, okay, or they live on someone else's glory. Okay, the same way the programming language goes is like, if you pick any language, you will find the same construct from one language to another. So it's not by chance it is like that. It is by design they have done it. Like when you want one guy to move to one to another, you have to follow the same pattern, and also the pattern works. Okay, so they have done it like most of them have a variable, have a conditional statement, have a looping statement. Probably some have five types of looping statement, some have two types of looping statement. Okay, and the variables you can store it in a contiguous thing like an array or list or whatever you call it. As like, so if you pick, this is the order which I'll push the students to learn, but it is not strict order. You can shuffle the thing. So my preference, first preference goes to C. Okay, the reason why I'm picking C is not that is the best language or the worst language. It is because that is a language which has very limited number of libraries. Okay, so it's like riding a bicycle. Okay, when you're riding your bicycle, you don't have the gears and other things. You have to do on your own. You have to push all the hard work on your own, and then you have to drive and then balance as well. Whereas in terms of bikes, it's not that difficult. Like probably once you learn the gear system, life becomes smoother. Okay, the same way. So if you are able to learn to balancing is the big part. Okay, if you learn to balance and understand the underlying principles using C, then you can go for any language. C, C++, C sharp, all are object oriented. Perl, Python, they are also multi-paradigm languages. And if you want to go to functional languages, you can go for Haskell, Lisp, all the different type of languages you can go for. But my suggestion is like pick one language and be the master of that. When I say master, nobody should, uh, people should fear when you say that, hey, this guy is the king in C or this guy is the king in Java. Okay, so pick one language like C, Java, or whatever it is, but be strong in that language. Okay, don't try to learn all the languages, so you will get lost in the list. Okay, so that's the first advice which I give it to you. So go pick one languages and try to learn. My favorite is C because it gives you the full power. Like it tells you how to handle the memory, how to get the memory, how to free the memory, how to crash a program, what you do if you don't do the programming properly. All those things you can do it. Okay, so that's about languages. So now let's get into programming. Okay, the programming has nothing to do with languages. Languages are a separate thing and programming is the separate thing. Programming is a logical thinking. Like for example, if you go for a movie, so what do? You plan for the steps. I start from here, pick my friends, do this, book the tickets, like that. Okay, so it has nothing to do with the syntax. So people always confuse syntax with the logical thinking. Syntax and the logical thing are two separate things. So when uh, I started with writing in paper. It's not that I planned it. I didn't have a computer at home. As simple as that. So my father was not able to afford it. So I had to write the code in the paper and feed dummy inputs on my own, and then go to a nearby computer center and do it. Or in my college, I used to do it. So that's the way I did it. Okay, so what I learned out of it is like that. So because of that I became a good programmer. Hey, how come, man? So what I did is like, so I separated my logical thinking versus the syntax in without knowing that I am separating it. So when I write in the paper, I give all the dummy inputs, right, and I make sure that my logic is correct. Okay, so that's what in the college or the school they give this lab notes. What is the input output? But unfortunately, we copy from my friends and our friends, and then we don't really make use of the things. Okay, so then when I went to the college, so after typing all this thing in my paper, writing all this in the paper, if I go and type it, I'll get couple of errors, and then I'll solve the program within max 10 minutes. Let's assume the class hour is for half an hour, so I'll be solving that within 10 minutes. So first day my friend said, hey, you got it fluke. Second day he said, hey guys, this guy is doing something good. Third day onwards I became a hero. That's how I started believing myself that I'm a good programmer. Before that I didn't have hopes for it. So to give an example, like I was supposed to be a doctor like any other parents in India who wants to do it. So they pushed me to study that, but I didn't get it through it. Like I like physics, so unfortunately I ended up in engineering. So it is not my wish to become an engineer, so I was forced to engineer, but I liked that, like after getting into the here. Okay, so first day it was like this, like this was my state. Like I didn't even know how to type capital letter and a small letter. For example, to type my name Arun Prakash, I didn't know how to type capital letter A. So I used to call my friend who is a computer science in his school. When I call that guy will come and press A. Whenever he presses, the capital letter will come. Whenever I presses, only a small letter will come. I was baffled for 6 months. I didn't know how he did it. Then after that I figured out there is something called caps lock, and I toggled it and then used it. But still till 6 months I didn't know how he did it. What the bugger did was like he used his little finger to press shift, and then he pressed the A with his index finger, so he got a capital A. So this is a level where I was in. Okay, so there is no point in scolding my friend. There are other friends who helped me in programming. So he is from a non-computer science department. That guy teach me programming, and now I believe I'm good in programming. And I worked in almost all the top companies who's paying two-digit salary, uh, two-digit lakhs salaries to freshers. Like that level I have been moved to. Okay, so forget about me. So going back to it, like, so when I started, I also had the same fear. Like I was from biology group, I didn't know anything about computers, but I was able to crack because of these simple steps. I did this unknowingly. Okay, since I didn't have a computer, I was forced to write in paper. Since I was forced to write in paper, I was forced to separate my logical thinking with the syntax. So when I go to the lab and sit and type, so my logical errors, there was no logical error, only syntax error are there. So I was able to solve the syntax error pretty fast. So after that, my program starts giving me the expected output which I was. So this process is the basic process. So write it in paper, feed it in the dummy inputs, and then go for the system. So somebody said like, I think Drickstar, I think he said like, it's not a program. I mean, astronomy is not about telescopes. The same way computer science is not with computers. Okay, and my second thing is like, you should have the desire to learn. So without that, it is pretty hard. I mean, for anything, not only for programming, it applies for anything. First thing is like, I'll advise is build small programs and try to emulate the existing programs. For example, Notepad, simple Notepad, try to do it. Or else in the basic level, for example, if you are a Windows user, you will have DAR command. If you are a Linux user, you have ls command, right? Try to do that with your C program. Okay, if you are able to do that small commands with your own program, you will be feeling so great, and you will understand the underlying things very beautifully. So that is the first thing. So even if you are copy pasting it from somewhere, it doesn't matter. Like copy paste and start doing it, but don't blindly copy paste. Okay, when I say copy paste, try to understand it and run it. It's like math. So math, whenever we your staff teaches, so it will be beautiful. It will be easy. Okay, but when you write, it will not come. And another advice is like, writing 5 programs is not enough to become a programmer. So daily write as many programs as you can. Even the same program, if you are already done it, try to run it again and again, and write it on your own. So every time you write, you reinforce your thinking process. Okay, so somebody says the Bhagavad Gita looks different every time I read. The same way, For me, programs are different, or my thinking process gets smarter and better every time I write more number of programs. So my biggest program which I still feel precious is like analog clock, which I wrote on my own. The same way you can do program, any program. Though I have done bigger things than the analog clock after that, but still I cherish that part which I had in my college. Okay, the same advice which I give it to you. So write as many problems you can. Okay, so never hesitate. Like you don't need a computer to learn a program. As I said, write in paper, feed your input and do it. Okay, so even in this series we'll have a lot of things learning, more of theory thing. Though it looks theory, but it is the way you have to start with it. So you have to write, and then only you will go and compile. Compilation takes hardly a 2 minute thing or less than a minute thing. Okay, so don't get blocked by it. And one more another advice piece of advice is when you learn, try to learn why it was written. Okay, there are many languages out there. Okay, so you should know why a language was there. Like when assembly language was there, why they were written C. When C was written there, why the people went for C++. When C++ was there, why people moved to Java. When Java was there, why people moved to Python. So like that, every language has a reason to do it. Always try to understand the roots and always have fun. Pick a friend. Okay, so pick two friends. Okay, one friend who will help you, another friend who will distract you. You need those two things. And another simple advice which I give is like, so if you are a newbie, try to copy paste and run. Try to run with any of the online editor which will help you to run it. Like so here what I'm doing is I'm going with the online thing and copying the code and trying to run over here in the codepad.org. Like that, IDE1 is one of the beautiful site, IDEONE.com. So there you have a lot of online compilers, but the online compiler is just to get started. I wouldn't advise you if you want to learn internals. So the internals are masked by the UI thing. So never ever go for it. So this is my advice. Get started with the programming. Okay, thank you friends. Bye bye.